Welcome to the 21 Report. I'm Frank Pesci, and I'm here with Paul Cauldwell, conservative, Christian, married Texas patriarch, engaged in the fight against the vaginaization of men, boys, and fathers. Paul, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
What do you think of the event that Anthony has put together so far?
To say the event is awesome would be a gross understatement. When I came here, when I got invited, I knew that it was going to be something. Elliot Hulse, Coach Greg Adams, these guys that I've watched on the internet, as well as the other guys that I've seen, off the spectrum on the side. I knew that it was going to be an experience meeting these guys, but I had no idea. I had no idea at all how important it was going to be. How important the sitting down and chopping it up with these men. It's probably one of the most impactful things that I've done in a long time. It's awesome. Anthony's done an amazing job with this.
It's amazing to hear. What are some of the content creators that influence you or impact your way of thinking that you've met here?
Elliot's one for sure. I've been following him since his strength camp days. I own a gym and I did the same thing. And Elliot's actually one of the guys that made me stop doing YouTube content as far as strength training goes, because he's he's got charisma and he loves being in front of the camera and I don't. And so I watched Elliot for a long time. Coach Greg Adams, I love watching his content as well. Although I don't see eye to eye exactly with a lot of the things that not a lot, but some of the things, he's a good dude and his heart's good. I've watched his content like Bruce Lee, take what I can use and, dispatch with the rest. There's some of the guys that I hadn't heard speak until I got here, and now I'm a fan. Mike's one of them. There's a couple, Arthur, another one. There's a lot of guys because I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos. I don't spend a lot of time watching YouTube. I did when I first came into the space, but not anymore. It's, I'm not a fan of anybody.
So then what does daily life look like for you? You're a gym owner, a content creator, you're a homesteader. What are you unpacking as a man on the daily?
I get up about 3:30 in the morning. I got to get primed up. We train. My first training session's at 5 a.m.
Jocko got nothing on you.
Nah, man. Jocko's an hour late.
No disrespect, Jocko. Much love, Jocko. Much love.
But I get up, and that's just at that time, nobody's up. Nobody's bothering me. I don't have to feed any animals. I don't have to do anything, and it's my time. And I found that there's something magical that happens around 3:30 in the morning. It's almost like the universe has the library open. And so I spend the first hour and a half, studying, meditating, praying, and laying out, and looking at what I laid out the night before of the things that I needed to do. So I take that part of my morning and just get ready for the day. After training, I go home, take care of my animals. We've got just about everything that you can have. We got goats, we got cows, we got chickens, we got guineas, we got food.
Right.
And so we take care of that. Anything that needs to be done on the property, we take care of that. And then during a break, after I eat breakfast, I'll do whatever content creation that I'm gonna do. And that's usually, I try to do it in one shot. Whatever pops into my mind. My content is based off of what comes to my heart. I learned the hard way that prayer works, because I said a prayer in expectation of it being answered in a way that was pleasing to me, and I got the truth. And so I start my day with, after I get all my stuff going, I pray and I ask for word. And whenever something comes upon my heart, I'd sit down and I make the video. Or I'll write a note, but that period of time is my video time, about 10 o'clock to 11. At that point in time, I usually pass out because I got up at 3 o'clock. So I'll take a nap and then I get up. Then it's any programming that I have to do, because I do online personal training for the clients that I moved from the Metroplex. So I've got clients that are still there, but I can't train them. So I use the app, do their programs. And then generally after that, it's whatever is left over from the day that I need to do until I train my evening clients. So it's bang, bang, bang throughout the day.
Paul, there's something interesting. There's a pattern that I've noticed here at this convention, and that is how many speakers and how many men are starting to come together around prayer and upon spiritual excellence. This is my third 21 convention. And 21 convention started, it has an evolutionary history. It
Right.
started as, pickup game, and then, excellence in men, and so much evolution has occurred in this space. But one resounding theme that I hear out of these men is quest for spiritual excellence.
Right.
You see that too?
Yes. I think we're in a time, I was listening to Elliot just a little while ago, and what he's speaking on is what I think we're at. Weak men have created hard times in our culture, but even more than that, I think on a biblical scale, we're entering into a state where there's a mass awakening. There's a lot of people that are starting to look up and see that things aren't right, and I've not just in this space. I've seen it out, in the world. There's a lot of people that are finally removing the scales from their eyes. But I think there's a calling. I think that right now God is assembling his warriors. And those of us who hear that call know that in order for us to get through this fight, man, we're gonna have to lean upon that Corinthians verse that says, put your full armor on. We've got to do that. And I think that that's what's happening right now. A lot of us have walked a horrible path, but like Saul, we're being called out of that. And I think that even for myself, I was at war with God for years, almost 2 decades, over a prayer being answered. I didn't like what I got. I thought that how could you do this? And so I spent a long time on the other side of that, and it was I said a prayer out of desperation, and the answers that I got, that's what sent me down this trajectory, because it wasn't what I intended. The prayer that I sent up, it was very simple. Just show me what's true. Show me what's real. I was talking about a person, not the world, and it's been insane. It's been insane. It's been crazy because there is just a voice, a constant voice, saying, "Get ready."
Paul, hard times make hard men. Tell us a little bit about your story. What makes you who you are today?
I think the biggest thing was losing my father. Like, I didn't lose him in death, but to the penitentiary. And when I was 7, 8 years old, my father got put back in the penitentiary, and my mom, I'm the oldest of 4 kids. My mom lost her shit. She went off the rails. And I watched that. I literally watched my mom fall to pieces. And because my dad wasn't there, we had no structure. We had nothing. And so in the middle of the night, it just seemed like the middle of our life, my mom uprooted us and moved us to Texas. And it was always hard. It was hard because we didn't have what other kids have. We literally lived on a piece of property. My mom and my sister slept in a tent. Me and my brother slept in her car. And we had to pretend that everything was normal when we went to school. And we would have the bus driver drop us off. We would get out like 2 miles up the road because we didn't want anybody when the bus would have to turn around. Our house was at the end of this dirt road in the country, and the bus to drop us off would have had to turn around, and the people would have seen that we had no house. And so all the way up until I was probably my freshman year in high school, 8th grade. I failed the 8th grade the first time I went through it because I never went to school. My brothers and sisters had moved to California. My mom was a bad alcoholic. And I didn't have any rules, man. I had no rules. She couldn't tell me what to do. She was drunk and I was bigger than her. And she couldn't control me. So I did whatever the hell I wanted to do, and there was no one to stop me. And finally, my grandmother and my mom conspired to get me off my mom's payroll, I guess. And my mom dropped me off in California under the guise of moving there. We were gonna move there. My brothers and sisters had already left. My grandmother, she saw what was going on. She heard how my mom was rolling. And she didn't like that. Well, those kids were her grandkids from her son. I wasn't. So I overheard my mom and my grandfather talking about taking us. And I got on my bike and I took off, man. I took off, and I didn't come home for 3 or 4 days. I just went from house to house to house, and I would ride by and make sure when my grandfather's van was still there, I would go back to my buddy's house. And I kept doing that until he was gone, because I knew he was gonna stick around and wait. And so I thought I beat it. I thought I beat the draft. And everything seemed, I was a mama's boy, horrible mama's boy. I love my mom more than anything else. And I was stoked it was just me and her. I love my brothers and my sister, but I was stoked to be the only kid, because I was the first one, and I know, you're firstborn, you get another kid.
You became the man of the house.
I was the man of the house as soon as when I was 8, I was responsible for my siblings, because my mom would take off on benders and she wouldn't come home until it was time to go to work. So she would take off on Thursday, Friday, and wouldn't come home until Sunday or Monday morning. Wow. And it was just that was normal, and my grandmother knew about that, and she was just like, that's not cool. So she got them, and it was probably about a month later, she told me, the guy she was with had boxes and boxes of cash in his closet. I thought it was porn, because he had a lot of porn. And so he had porn in the same boxes. They were old Budweiser long neck boxes. He had them stacked to the brim with porn under his bed, and he had these same boxes in his closet. And so I was like, I'm gonna go get some of this porn out and check it out. It's a nosy little kid. And I pulled these boxes down, and it was these stacks, man, just stacks of foil squares. I was like, what is this, man? I opened it up, and I'm like, oh shit, it was $100 bills. So these boxes were stacked. So I was so young, I didn't realize the dude has no idea how much money's here. I didn't take $1. I put it up and I got scared. I didn't say anything to my mom. He was an old dude. He was an old oil guy, and he had gotten a divorce, and his wife raped him. So he took all of his money out of the bank, got it in cash, and just put it in boxes. That was his deal. So my mom tells me that we're gonna move to California, we're gonna finally be a family, and then she tells me Billy's got a lot of money in his closet. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I saw it. And so I was like, shit, she's telling me this secret, she's gotta be telling me the truth. And so we get to California, everything seems cool. My mom's throwing this money around, buying everything for everyone, she's being a good mother. She's doing the right things. And we're there for about a week, and there was something that went wrong. There was something that was in my soul, man. It got weird. She started talking weird to me, like slipping, saying, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're acting like I'm staying here. Well, when it's time for her to go, she tells me that I can't come back with her, because she needs to get all of her affairs straight, and she'll be back in 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and it turned into 2 years. And that was a dagger to my soul. Like, it's surprising that I can say this now without getting emotional, because it hurt for a long time. Still does. But eventually my grandmother told me, she's like, your mom's not coming back. And at that point, I realized I was on my own. I had my grandmother, but I was on my own. And from that point, I made up my mind that I was just not gonna I wasn't gonna let life fuck with me. And I started doing things the way I wanted to do it. And doing that ended up making a lot of bad decisions. And I think the catalyst that probably my agoge was when I went to the penitentiary. And when I went there, everything that I said I was never gonna be, everything that I'd said I would never do that I saw my dad do, I realized that's what I was. And that's the point. I went to war with God and with myself. With God, because I have a daughter that I'm estranged from. She and I do not speak. I have a daughter, but I don't have a daughter. And that's because her mother, when I went to the penitentiary, her mother, she went her own way, told my daughter a bunch of things about me. But the reason why I went to war with God is right before I went to the penitentiary, probably about a week before I finally got caught. I was on the run for a while. And my girlfriend was working at this telecommunications place, and one of her coworkers was a reverend at a church. I was riding around Austin with guns under my seat, just doing ghetto shit, man. I was a hustler, and I was living a life that was just stupid. And so one day I go and I pick her up, and she brings this dude to the car with her, and he just jumps in the front seat, and I'm, what the fuck's going on? And he starts talking about God, talking about Jesus, talking about my purpose in life. And I'm sitting there going, dude, I'm on the run from the police. I'm going to penitentiary when they catch me. Like, what purpose do I have in life? What good do I have to offer anyone? And he told me, come to my church and I'll show you. Well, I go to this church service, and there's these 11, 12, 13-year-old boys in the same situation that I was in when I was their age, broken and going the same route that I was on, carrying guns, getting busted, just doing dumb shit. And they're little gangbangers. And he took me to this thing. I thought I was gonna be part of whatever. I'm gonna be listening to him. He's gonna be helping us. And it was like, nah, man. He put me in front of these kids, and he was like, tell them about your life, man. And I never did anything like that before. And so I started talking to these little dudes, and they started crying, and it was like, whoa, those guys were gangsters, man. And it was a trip, because in that moment they made a promise. No, I don't know if they kept it, because I disappeared, but they made a promise to change their lives. And they started going to the church. So I went to church. I was there for that week. I went probably 4 or 5 times.
They're talking about in prison.
No. This was before I went.
Before you went.
Yeah. So this is the prelude to my war with God. And in that moment, you know, I was on the run, and when I got caught, I had like 10 evading arrests. Like, they would come to get me, and I'd be gone. I used to be really fast, and so they were trying to catch me because I violated my probation. I cut the monitor off my leg.
Paul, just looking at you and understanding your story, you are not a guy that I would want to come crossways with during that time of your life.
Yeah, it was bad.
But what I do see is I see a transformed man whom I am so comfortable being next to. I feel like my heart and your heart are melded together because we come together under a common purpose. We come together to events like this. We get to share our experiences, and the old man is broken off.
Right.
And behold, a new man sits here,
yeah,
driving people towards their purpose. Now, I lead with that because I was very moved by your speech, particularly with regards to fatherhood. You, as a man who you have just shared briefly in your story, didn't have a father in the picture. Circumstances of life were very difficult, caused you to get jaded, go to war with God, caused you to make bad decisions, but put you on a path to finding purpose.
Yeah.
How do you, as a father in your own household, or how would you give advice to men who are raising families, particularly sons, to raise up their sons in a way that they don't have to experience the same pain, that they can, at a young age, start on the trajectory of excellence? Because that's what you're doing now. You told me a little while ago about the habits of excellence that you pursue. You're up at 3:30 in the morning, mm-hmm. You're praying, you're getting a download from heaven, you're doing your workout, you're doing your chores, you're putting your priorities in order, you're visiting your clients, you're getting the rest that your body needs. You have habits of absolute excellence. Now, I myself as a father have some regrets because I've made mistakes as a young father. Mm-hmm. And I have learned along the way that we can never break the spirit of our children because they're made for greatness.
Yep.
What's your take on that? Have you made mistakes, and how do you fix them? What would you say about excellence in fatherhood?
The first thing I would say is be present. You be present for your kids. You have to be present, and you have to listen to them. You have to listen to what they're trying to communicate. But I almost lost my son from getting into my emotions. I had a situation where he lived with me from the time he was 5. And when we decided to move out to the country and start homesteading and doing that, I gave him the option to move back in with his mother because he was playing football, and you know the city that we lived in was big, and we were moving to the sticks. And so that decision was made. He went with his mother, and that was fine. Well, he decided that he wanted to, he was going to play football, and everybody around him was saying, "Go out where your dad's at." Well, my wife and I had made the decision that, he's gone, we're gonna go ahead and do our thing. We got extremely comfortable. And then he decided he wanted to move back out with us. And I told him, listen, you have to make sure that this is what you want to do, because there's no going back. There's no going back and forth. We're settled, we're happy. And so, he promised to see it through. And long story short, just like so many of us do, a girl got in the way of his progress, of his walk. And all he could think about was her. And so the decision was made between him and his mother that he was gonna move back in with her, because she was trying to be his friend, not his mother. And I was pissed about it. They decided to do that. She takes him he had a football game. After the football game, she takes him and he never comes home. And so after that visit, I get Monday, Tuesday, he's gonna come get his things. And so when he came to get his stuff, I was training one of the clients that I'd grown up from high school, and he was now a grown man. He'd come to see my new gym. We're training, and my son came to get his Social Security card. He came to get his things, but he was being a coward. He wanted me to put everything in a bag and leave it outside so he didn't have to face me. So I put all of his clothes outside, but I kept his Social Security card so he would have to come talk to me, because I just wanted to punch him in his face. I was so pissed off because I knew the UIL rules were going to ruin his senior year. He was turning into a stud. I mean, he had gotten to the point to where he was about 5 pounds lighter than me. He was a man. And I was proud of him. And I was proud of what he had become. And because his mother promised me that she wouldn't back him and move him back with her too. So because I stopped dealing with her, because I have no reason to, and I have my son now, I don't need to deal with you. She got upset about me not wanting to talk about anything with her or any of that. So she partnered with him, she takes him off. So when he comes to get his things, he needs his social. That was the main thing he wanted. So when he comes in the gym, I wanted to smash his face, but I'm not gonna do that to my son. And so I took his soul and I told him to change his last name. And I saw what it did to him. And had my buddy's kid not died, I never would have rectified that, man. But I did. So I would tell fathers, never say shit that you can't take back to your kid. Never say something out of emotion, because you can't take that shit back. I mean, we're back in good graces, but he'll never forget that I told him that.
Right. And as a father, I know that when we say things that are as harsh as what you dealt, it takes years, it takes time, it honestly takes a miracle in many regards to fix that. How committed are you to the pursuit of binding up those wounds?
Oh, we're dialed. I ended up just sending him a text and told him I loved him.
Nice.
And that was pretty much it. He calls me and we talk now. He just spent the weekend with my wife because I was here.
You know what? He's gonna watch this. Tell him, man.
I love you, man.
This guy loves you, there's no doubt. I feel you, bro. I know what it is to be a father.
Thanks, bro.
I wish you, man. It's gonna be all right, man. You got a good father here. Believe me when I tell you, this is a special man. And together, your family is gonna carry on a wonderful legacy, because you have a father whose heart is committed to you. And although we have shortcomings and we fall short, believe me, greatness is coming, not only for him, but for you and for your family too. So I pray a blessing over you guys.
Thank you,
just
man.
Continually.
Appreciate it, bro.
What's next for you? Projects?
Man, coming to this convention, like I said before, it's been one of the best experiences, because I got to hook up with Elliot Hulse and a couple of other guys. We've got some upcoming projects, man. We've got some things that we got work the bugs out.
Gotcha.
But next year we're gonna kick some ass. So we're just gonna finish this year out strong, and I'll hopefully continue working with Anthony and doing this work, man.
You're coming back next year.
If I'm invited, I'll be here.
I have a feeling you'll be invited. Okay, where can people find you?
Right now I've got my website I'm working on to break away from the YouTube stuff. It's called AmericanAgoge.com, A-G-O-G-E. American, you should know how to spell that. We also have, I got an Instagram page, haven't really been on that too much, but that's warrior_training. We're gonna get back on that. I've talked to too many dudes that are on
Gotta be.
Instagram.
Gotta be.
No TikTok.
No TikTok.
But yeah, those are the two main places. If they got any questions, they want to send me an email. That's gladiatorfarm17@gmail.com.
Well, there you heard it. Folks, this is the 21 Report, and I want to thank you for watching. I'm Frank Pesci, and this is Paul Cauldwell.